All right, everyone, we should be live. Let's make sure that is actually the case. We've got plenty of news to cover today. Some of it's more late breaking than others. A few holdovers. I've decided to generally not do weekend live streams for several reasons. Number one, I was getting a little bit burned out because I'm doing it literally 7 days a week while caring for an infant, while doing my one-off videos, while doing chores, while doing cooking, while doing all of my editing work. It's a little bit much. I figured I was working more than 50 hours a week. And so I decided to give myself just a little bit of a mid-afternoon break on weekend days. It's number one. And number two, of course, because of the time slot, fewer people show up on the weekends. They're busy sleeping in. So I will only be doing those if there is significant breaking news on weekends or some appearance that I'm doing. I'll try to aim for the weekends for those. So let's make sure that we're live over on Rumble. Yes, indeed I am. Chat is working. By the way, I'm not late. I'm actually 4 minutes early. So, yeah, we'll get right into the news. We've got plenty of good shit today. First, to the Arizona race. We've got Katie Hobbs implicated in her latest scandal. She's already said like bigoted shit in the past, and you know it sort of blows over because she's a Democrat, so naturally nobody's going to look deeply into it. Newly unearthed yearbook photos raise questions about Katie Hobbs' link to her school's Slave Day. Arizona Democratic gubernatorial candidate Katie Hobbs was a student leader at her Catholic preparatory high school when pupils took part in a yearly tradition known as Slave Day. Copies from past yearbooks of Seton Catholic Preparatory High School were obtained by DailyMail.com and appear to show the practice went on for nearly 4 decades, last mentioned in a yearbook from 1997. Hobbs, who played an active student body role as a member of the yearbook staff and student council for part of her tenure, went to school there from 1984 through 1988. The tradition entails freshman students performing tasks for senior class masters that include performing embarrassing acts of servitude. One example from the 1985 yearbook, which would have been the end of Hobbs' freshman year, describes slaves in her grade wearing unbecoming hairdos and unbecoming outfits, sporting embarrassing signs, and performing embarrassing acts of servitude for senior masters for a day. It's not clear if Hobbs participated herself in the auctions, so literally like invoking slave auctions, I guess, but her 1987 student council page credits her and other student leaders for having coordinated the many class events during Spirit Week when Slave Day appears to have been celebrated. So we have another blackface moment, this time involving Katie Hobbs. Why do I get the feeling that the legacy media is not really going to look into this very much? It'll be sort of like Ralph Northam. You remember he was in blackface for one of his Halloween shoots there in college. Trudeau has worn blackface, I think, several times, actually. This happens quite frequently among people who claim to be liberal or left-leaning, corroborating what I've said for years, which is in my own interactions with people, and they've been profuse on the political end. People who have right-wing views, they don't tend to do this stuff. They'll be very open. If they're a bigot, they're the person that has the coal-rolling fucking semi-truck with the Confederate flag bumper sticker and shit like that. They're very open about it. When you get like a club atmosphere or like an inner circle of friends atmosphere, and then, you know, you get people a couple of drinks or some weed or something, then the real bigotry comes out, and that tends to be a left-wing thing. They're more hush-hush about it. The 1987 yearbook mentions Slave Day 4 times. So at the very least, I'm assuming she participated in it. An accompanying image shows a student on their knees while wearing a collar and leash led by what appears to be a fellow classmate. Now, while this may be funny, and I mean, I'm not outraged or offended by it or anything. If, you know, students in a school want to do weird shit like this, I don't really care. What I do care about is the hypocrisy. Katie Hobbs, if, you know, her opponent, Kari Lake, were engaged in such behavior, certainly she would make a political issue of it. Well, here we see evil bigot Kari Lake ridiculing black people and making light of slavery. Of course she would. And so would you, by the way. You would point that out. If your opponent gives you free ammunition, then you use it. In this case, of course, the ammunition is basically a dud, though, because the legacy media won't take up the story. Prediction: they won't talk about it too much. Is Katie Hobbs a racist as defined by the Oxford Dictionary? Yes, she is. Is she worthy of sitting in any role in government? No, she is not, Talonia Adams said during a press conference in December 2021. According to 12 News, she condemned both Lake and Hobbs. Well, only one of them was auctioning off fellow students, which is why you won't hear about it too much. Tom McMorrow, thoughts on the ethics of vengeance? I believe that taking revenge, assuming that you've looked into it and really thought about it and whether or not you're due that revenge, yeah, it can be a positive thing. You have to, though, ask yourself first, did you deserve the ill done to you? Hismanai, happy clank. Perennial comment. Paracelsus Undarak. Oh, do they discuss historical global slavery, Japanese, Chinese, African empires, tribes, Romans, etc.? No, it appears to be related to the U.S. Slavery sort of system. So I guess people singing "Mammy" and shit like that. Many such cases where liberals, self-professed, do stuff like that. They're just not open about it. JB Hicks, hey Sticks, did you know there is a person pretending to be you in the common area asking for money to invest in a Bitcoin scheme? It's a scam. Yes, I am aware of the WhatsApp shitposter and have reported several of their accounts. It appears to be a bot. So there's really, YouTube is not going to crack down on that because under Section 230, they'd rather go after people who post innocuous political content as opposed to things that are actually illegal, like attempting to commit fraud. They have no time to go after fraud or anything, illicit porn or scams or anything like that. Mega Sea Monkey. Morning, Sticks. I saw Biden's sniffing video and totally lost it. Lol. It blows my mind he is our president. Well, he's not. He's your steward. So don't think too badly about it. He was selected, honk honk, for his current position. Now we've got a major cell phone by the Democrats. And this is one of the all-time blunders, I think, of the Democratic Party. If anything, they're going to get Lauren Boebert reelected. There has been some polling shown that shows a fairly close race for her position. I think she runs away with it now, though. They're claiming that Lauren Boebert shot somebody's dog because it walked onto her property at some point in the past. And there are differing accounts about exactly what happened. Here's Lauren Boebert's response, though. The original tale, which is being posted by like the Midas Touch and Brooklyn Dad and all the other craptivists of the left, they're desperate to knock her off her pedestal. They hate Lauren Boebert, I think, almost as much as they hate Trump. She's in the same class as Carrie Lake or Marjorie Taylor Greene. They don't like women to be empowered unless they stay on the liberal plantation run by people who are old and white and male like Joe Biden. You'll notice this, by the way. And they're claiming that a neighbor's dog at one point wandered onto a property and Lauren Boebert shot the animal, which, depending on where you are in the United States, may already be legal. But it turns out that story is probably mostly false. Snopes will be fact-checking it at any given point. For the uninformed trolls, this is Lauren Boebert speaking. The story that was started saying I killed a neighbor's dog is not true. I've never shot or killed any dog ever. A neighbor told police that he shot 2 dogs. As I understand it, the dogs he shot were wounding and killing livestock in our neighborhood, including several of our family's goats. Again, I had nothing to do with this, and I believe there is a police report that verifies the neighbor's account of why he shot the dogs. Oh boy, did they step in it. Why do I get the feeling that the original party that went forward to the Midas Touch and these others and peddled the story is actually a right-winger that was trying to get them to run with a hit piece that could be easily discredited? I think that this may actually be a right-wing false flag that they even ran with the story. If there is such a police report, that's an utter exoneration. Even the individual claiming that Boebert shot the husky dog in the first place and doesn't mention that the dog was, by the way, supposedly attacking her animals, points out that they got a citation from the cops because the dog wandered off their property. Earth to everyone out there. If you own a dog and it wanders off your property and it goes onto somebody else's property, generally speaking, it can be shot. In most states, in most municipalities, a person has absolute supremacy on their property. If an animal that is strange wanders onto their property and does anything that provokes them, they can shoot it. I'll use myself as an anecdote. Back in Chisana Drive in Rutland, the neighbors, half of them have dogs, and a lot of them wander around freely because our neighbors there apparently do not understand Vermont state law. Mostly there's been no problems with them. There was like an old sheepdog, unfortunately probably dead by now. It was an elderly animal, years ago. And it would wander around in the garden and would watch me, digging out the potatoes or whatever. And I never had a problem with it. It never barked or anything like that. It would just sort of lay there in the sun, occasionally go into the compost pile and eat random rotting vegetables. And I'm not exactly sure why it chose to do that. And so I didn't have a problem with it. There have been other instances where neighbors' dogs, clearly they should have been contained. They were not. I had been attacked by a dog at one point. It tried to bite my foot and I kicked it in the fucking face. And then it and its fellow dog ran off. I would go out of my way to not shoot a dog if it came on the property. If it attacks me, it might get killed. If it attacks a family member, if it attacks our cats or something, it might get killed. I'll go out of my way to try to, not have that be the situation. I'd rather just take the cat inside, call the cops, and then they shoot it so that I don't have to deal with any fucking lawsuits. But you have that right. If you or your livestock are attacked on your own fucking property, absolutely you have the right. Now Boebert's saying that she didn't shoot anything. It was the neighbor that shot the dog. So whether it was on her property or not, the neighbor took care of the situation. Boy, oh boy, did they step in it. They thought that they had an ironclad case. There's still people. Look at some of the goddamn responses. Link in the description. You can follow. I didn't bother archiving it because everything that a congressperson posts is public record. So I don't think that they can really delete tweets, generally speaking. Ron DeSantis, a parody account pretending to be Ron DeSantis. So you killed a dog. Well, no, she's claiming that she never did anything, just to be clear. No fucks left to give. Dog killer. Yes, apparently. Dog killer. You hate animals. You hate dogs. Fuck, Lauren Boebert probably owns dogs. She didn't. She's claiming she never even retaliated against this particular animal. And it was attacking her animal. She wasn't even there, potentially. It attacked her goats. I wouldn't find any fault with her. If something comes on your property and starts attacking your animals, of course you have the right to blow it away. And it doesn't matter. Some people are saying, well, the original poster actually making this claim. Well, Lauren Boebert's youngest son used to play with my husky dog. She knew full well what it was. Dude, if some dog is in with your goats ripping their throats out or something, do you think that you're going to hesitate long enough to say, oh, that's the neighbor's dog, I better not shoot it? Just let it eat its fill. Yeah, that's really, that makes a whole lot of sense. Apparently, that's what she's supposed to do. See, there's nothing that people can do if they've run afoul of the leftoid hit squad. There is literally nothing that they can do to apologize, make amends, or do anything right. They are considered Hitler. They are considered the devil. That's the way the legacy media will report. They'll probably take this story up before they take up the Katie Hobbs Slave Day story. And they'll crucify her and say she hates puppies. Lauren Boebert, literal puppy kicker. Also, escort and fuck Ted Cruz, supposedly, and all this other bullshit that they can't prove. Let's see. James Willis, does Putin know Corn Pop was a bad dude? I think that he probably gets the clue. Elizabeth's philosophy. By the way, not the actual wife of mine. I thought I was your pumpkin, but you apparently went and found yourself a few replacements. Cheater! Yeah. By the way, nobody gets my joke here with Jesus sticking out of the gourd. It's Gordgotha. Why did nobody get that joke? I'm making dad jokes because I'm a dad now and nobody got it. I was very, very sad. Bo Raicho wins. Good morning, Sticks. How are the polls looking for Lee Zeldin? Does he have any chance against Hochul, or is it just wishful thinking? Even if we assume that the polls showing it as a very close race are true, you still need a 4 or 5 point swing in the end result in order for Lee Zeldin to win. This is New York. It's a heavily liberal state. I do not believe that Zeldin will win. But it's possible. It's just not plausible. It's not very likely. Not a banned account. Ukraine can retake Crimea by next summer. US CMDR. Yeah, I don't think that's going to be happening. Memento Mori. People need to keep their dog on leashes and fences. My dog and I have been attacked close to a dozen times while walking. Why I carry pepper spray. And why I prefer to carry a Glock when I'm in the United States. You don't need to be walking your dog to want to defend yourself. I mean, people have like large breed dogs too. It's not like a little Morkie or like a sheepdog or something. Some of these are violent animals. I've been literally attacked by a dog in Chisana Drive. I go out there. It was like 6 o'clock in the morning. My sister needed to go to work, so I had to pick her up because she didn't have a car at the time. And I go outside. It's the middle of fucking winter, by the way. So, I'm dressed like a goddamn Eskimo. And 2 dogs show up on the driveway. They're barking at me. One was, I don't know, a pit mix, like a yellowish dog. I don't know exactly. And the other one looked like it was part mountain dog, but smaller. They were mutts. I'm not sure the exact breed. The mountain dog looking one went for my leg. It tried to bite me in the leg. I kicked it in the fucking face and then they ran off. And good for them that they did, because I had my knife on me and would have fucking disemboweled them. I would rather not have to do that. People should keep their fucking dogs at home. Your dog, the fact that, don't let your little dog out either. Little dog goes out, it gets chewed up by the big dog. Big dog goes out, maybe it kills a 3-year-old. You're crazy if you're doing that. But my little Fluffy would never harm anyone. Well, apparently you don't know what your little Fluffy is up to, because all dog owners seem to say the same fucking shit. And yet I've literally been attacked by a dog before. And I live in a nice, peaceful area. I mean, most of the dogs are no trouble. The sheepdog wanders on the property. I don't give a shit. But it shouldn't really be out anyway, because if the dog is more passive, one of those more aggressive dogs may maul it. You're taking the dog's life in your hands. You're not being a good dog owner. Not a banned account. How soon can we refill Ukraine's nuclear stores? Very quickly if you wanted to. TJ Mars, I'd kick a cat like an NFL pro if it went after my dog. Anything that tries to harm my dog, myself, or my family is going to get taken care of. Well, that would be disproportionate. The average cat's not going to chew up your dog. Unless you get like a chihuahua or something like that, then I can sort of understand it. Just scruff the cat, toss it to the side. Josie, hey, Sticks, don't know if you talked about it. Thoughts on the White House stating they will be planning consequences against Saudi Arabia for cutting oil output? I did see this. At this rate, we will be nuked by the Swiss before his term ends. Yeah, apparently Joe Biden is pissed because the Saudis and the other OPEC nations decided not to take his bait and to up the oil prices by cutting production. Easily solved. All you have to do is ramp up domestic production. But Joe Biden doesn't want to do that. He's entirely beholden to the green energy lobby. Next news story. Here's some war propaganda for you. It sounds like it's like fucking 1915 again or something. Russia is giving soldiers Viagra to rape Ukrainians, according to a UN official. Now, let me say this first and foremost. Rape is an unfortunate but present part of war. It is the case that Russian soldiers are raping civilians in Ukraine. Ukrainian soldiers are probably doing the same thing. I would note that the rape as a tool of war thing normally is ascribed to non-Western military. So, the Sudanese army rolls into a town. Clearly, they rape everyone. Russians roll into the town. They do the rape thing. Meanwhile, the U.S. military, there's never been a case of rape or sexual assault by the U.S. military or the British military or the Dutch or anything like that. It's a complete double standard. The fact is that, unfortunately, when you take a bunch of young machismo dudes without girlfriends because they're on the fucking battlefield surrounded by dudes, and you put them into a village to guard it and there are females around, sometimes some of them will rape people. The idea, and it appears to be based on one phone recording, that the Russian military is issuing Viagra as standard issue in order to cause more rape or let the soldiers, just do whatever they want to do. I deeply distrust that particular report. I think that particular footage involves maybe one soldier who was just horny. Yeah, of course there are going to be soldiers that are rapists. You've literally drafted rapists into the Russian military because you emptied some of the prisons in order to get cheap manpower. Bad idea, unethical, but it doesn't speak to every Russian soldier. But we have seen reports on the basic premise dating back to goddamn antiquity. Even back in the times of like the fucking Carthaginians, or when the Romans rolled into the Etruscan territory and you have the mass rape going on. Over and over and over again, this is the same tale that's told by all sides. The enemy is going to take your babies, throw them up in the air, and let them come down on a bayonet. They will rape your mother. They will rape your sister. They will rape your wife. They will rape your daughter. They're also going to burn all of your crops. And they'll probably just kill you because, maybe they don't want to rape you. We see this is war propaganda. There are absolutely going to be cases of Russian soldiers raping people in Ukraine. It's very unfortunate. I'm not surprised. They're claiming hundreds of cases of verified rape or sexual assault. I don't discount that at all. It's probable. In fact, it's virtually certain. The idea that the Russian military is issuing people Viagra to 20-something people in most cases. So these are young dudes. Do they really need Viagra in order to get an erection, in order to rape Ukrainian women if that's what they're inclined to do? No. The whole story smells like bullshit. Even if I trusted the UN, I wouldn't trust this particular report. The commission had noted that victims of sexual and gender-based violence range from 4 to 82, and in some cases, family members have been forced to watch the acts. Yeah, absolutely. That happens in war. It's a war crime. It's reprehensible. Fucking disgusting, retarded morons that engage in the behavior. But it's not specific to the Russian military. Again, I guarantee that the Ukrainian military has engaged both on its own soil and possibly in Russia in the same acts. It's a guarantee because of the concept of war and the way in which it's waged. It happened in Iraq. It happened in Afghanistan by all sides, by the way. The Taliban's notorious for using rape as a weapon. They're pretty open about it because they don't see it as a problem. It happens in Korea. Certainly during the 1950s, it was profuse. There was Korean propaganda depicting U.S. soldiers holding down young women and even girls and raping them and mutilating babies and stuff. In World War II, typically when Western sources referred to the Germans at the time, or the Austrians, of course, sometimes the Turks, they would depict them as basically a big monkey with the Hun helmet on, carrying off Lady Liberty or something. Oh, stop the mad brute. This has been a thing in war for centuries. This goes back to antiquity. I don't trust this story at all. The Agal faces. Canned corn, tuna, and mayo sandwich. Opinion? Swap out the canned corn for fresh celery, number one, and add some sweet pickles to it. That's what I'm talking about. If the bread is toasted, then it becomes God mode. Karsten Man, hey, Sticks, 5 iota from a fan. Thank you very much. Paracelsus Undurak, if the USA removes the military protection of the Saudi oil fields, it would end the petrodollar. There is no petrodollar. There is the aircraft carrier dollar, just to be clear. It's about force projection. Aussie's robots. Some people think the BRICS nations can topple the dollar. I don't see it, although the West's economic troubles are largely self-inflicted. Thoughts? No, because the BRICS nations have the same problems. Right now, the entire world's economy is overheated and dysfunctional. We're basically a half step away from a global depression at this point. It's going to infect BRICS as well. China's already having economic problems. Tic-tac-toe, when will you be back in the U.S.? We need you on Timcast before Putin fires the missiles. I will be eventually be on Timcast, on Tim's show. Not a banned account. Confirmation on Russia purging gay Ukrainians. I have no confirmation of that, although it wouldn't surprise me if there's some violence there. Mr. Pockets, hello from Milton, New Hampshire. I got tricked this morning when a 2-year-old video of yours autoplayed. I thought you would come back to the U.S. Bleach Demon, UN, only okay with blue helmets, not blue pills. Yeah, the UN troops rape everyone. Look at what happens in Haiti. Hundreds of cases, try thousands, maybe tens of thousands by them. Caveman Resell, 5 times more live viewers than a sitting president on the official White House YouTube channel. I guess dead voters don't watch YouTube. Yeah, we got 3,000 on YouTube and about 1,500 now on Rumble. And that's on the low end, to be clear. Yeah, we're more popular than Joe Biden. Not that that's saying much. That's not you don't exactly win an award for getting more live streaming viewers than Joe Biden does. Mr. Wonderful, 4chan is full of Ukraine-committed war atrocity videos, such as shooting out knees and castrations of Russian soldiers. I really don't care if soldiers torment one another on the battlefield. Russian, Ukrainian, U.S., Iraqi. I really don't give a shit about that. You signed up to go kill people anyway, so take your lumps. When civilians are being raped or tortured or something, that goes beyond. What I point out is, even if I oppose the Russian invasion, and I do, Russia's soldiers are not being issued Viagra in order to rape more women. It doesn't make any goddamn sense at all. When something makes literally no sense, it's probably not true. And secondly, rape as an act of war is not limited to the Russians anyway. This looks like the kind of propaganda we got in the First World War. You don't have to like Russia or like the war whatsoever. You don't have to like that to understand it. Paracelsus Underac, all oil must be paid in US dollars, hence the nickname. It's true. Polyfrog sticks as the Ukraine war drags on with the Russians taking heavy losses and losing ground. Do you think they'll resort to nuking Kiev? No, I don't think that they'll nuke Kiev. Not unless they want to lose China as an ally. I think even the Chinese, I don't think, would defend them there. Zank Uger's Sweaty Gunt, is it true that Shoe on Head is bald? No comment because I don't get into e-celeb stuff. I don't care about any hair disorders there. I've got plenty of criticism for Shu. None of it has to do with her appearance. Not a banned account. Does Putin hate LGBT so much because he is too? Yeah, he might be a little bit soft in the pudding panties. You never know. He did have that one thing in church there that time where he whispered something into a young boy's ear and then the boy looked like totally shocked and Putin had like a smug grin on his face. And I'm thinking it was something about hell or something like that. Anyway, we've got the next news story. We've got the latest polls. We have an entirely new slew over the last couple of days. On weekends, RCP tends to aggregate more slowly. Here's what I see. We're going to focus on the generic ballot as opposed to individual polls. I'm sure over the next couple of weeks, we're going to get an absolute tidal wave of new polls as people rush to get those numbers out and in, and it'll be very interesting. Right now, the Republicans have resurmounted their edge over the Democrats in the generic ballot. And it's an edge that's growing. Right now, it's nearing 2 points. If you have absolutely no polling slew at all, there's no skew in the final polling. The generic ballot is true. The Republicans are going to goddamn curb stomp the Democrats. 2 points is all they need to do that. 3 gubernatorial slots, 2 Senate seats, and at least 30 to 35 pickup in the House. That is a red wave. At the bare minimum, if there is no skew in the polling whatsoever, that is that this is absolutely the God's honest truth, and we don't see what we've seen for 5 or 6 of the last 7 or so elections where the Republicans outperform by an average of up to 3 or 4 points. Assuming that doesn't happen at all, there's no turnout differential, there's no, despite registered voters leaning Republican now, there's no differential there, it's 50-50, and it just comports to this, you're going to see the Republicans mount a soft red wave. It would be on the lower side, but it would still be a massive loss for the Dems. They lose the House, they lose the Senate, they lose several state houses. They're fucked. They will be the underdog party, certainly in 24 as well, because I can't imagine the economy picking up. That doesn't surprise me. What I see here in the numbers doesn't surprise me. It would surprise me more if there weren't a skew, at least a point in favor of the Republicans. At that point, you've got a 3-point advantage. God, 40, 45 seats in the House sounds even more intimidating now, doesn't it? And it was analyzed, and I talked about this last week, I think it was in a live stream, that if you looked at the actual polling and you matched it up for how much there'd be a polling skew, like the actual final results going in one direction or the other, that first couple of points is the most critical because it throws a shit ton of extra House seats to the Republicans because you have so many 50-50 races. As I've analyzed, the Republicans can almost not help but take the House. If you just count the races where they're handily ahead enough to at least have a lean red categorical rating, they already retake the House by a couple of seats, even if they lose every one of the toss-up seats. It's impossible, in my opinion, for them to lose the House. If they do, then it'll be big news to me. It'll definitely be the only video that I make the day after if that happens, because it would indicate some onkening going on. But I don't think so. Stuart, Renaissance Horizon has a funny episode on Danish minks and how they helped to topple the current Danish government. I remember that story when they buried them all and then they burped themselves up out of the ground. They got the minks in Denmark got COVID, so they killed them all. And instead of incinerating the bodies, they just buried them in an open pit and then they decomposed their way back to the surface. That must have been pretty fucking gruesome. Maybe you guys can make some content together on European politics sometime. That sounds funny if it's about the Danish mink incident. Red Raider Matthias. Breaking news. Kanye wants to buy Parler. They should sell it to him. Let him buy it. Shaker Silver. U.S. blocking jobs for Chinese ship companies. Making Chinese Americans choose citizenship or work. Seems intentionally unconstitutional to appear tough. Well, why would, if they're a citizen, then they don't have to choose between citizenship and work, just to be clear. And if they're not a full-on U.S. citizen, then who cares, honestly? We should always prefer U.S. industry over foreign industry. Hell, that's the most innocuous part of the CHIPS Act. Really, it's just a big throwaway of money. Biden wants the donor class to get more money so that he can get some of it. The big guy gets his 10%. Kyle Miller, how many times have fact checkers called Trump's term his first term? Makes you wonder what they think will happen in 2024. Agreed. I've seen that many, many times. God, right, it's got to be dozens at this point. Next news story. This is, of course, from NBC News. So they don't like their competitors. I wonder why. Alex Jones lawsuit losses are not enough. Defamation lawsuits are vital tools, but they're not solutions to the lie machines built by America's savvy, cynical misinformation prophets. Yes, and this was posted a couple days ago by BitChute first, so credit to them. According to the legacy media, it's not enough that Alex Jones be completely bankrupt. It's not enough that on the mainline internet, he doesn't exist at all. He's got, guess what? He's got a BitChute channel. He's on Rumble. He's on Odyssey. They list a bunch of other sites. Where else is he? There's a bunch of them that are listed. Gab. Let's see. Fucking Roku, I think. Oh, his content has been found on Roku and Facebook. So the fact that people are posting clips of Alex Jones is also a problem. It's not even just him having a presence. Talking about Sky Silk, which I don't know what that is. Registrars such as Epic, crowdfunding services such as GiveSendGo, and payment platforms such as AlignPay. As of this writing, Jones and his InfoWars boast about 433,000 followers on Getter. It's pretty good. 212,000 on Gab, 157,000 subscribers on BitChute, and 114,000 on Rumble. By the way, we eclipsed InfoWars a couple of weeks ago, and we're surging on ahead. We're at 116 now. And fast rising. Yes, Clankdom is bigger than InfoWars on Rumble. It is a friendly competition to 200K, so if you're not watching me there, you should definitely get aboard. And there's live streaming. You best make sure to follow on BitChute as well, because big things will be happening there in the coming weeks or months. So yeah, according to Yongkang Yang, assistant professor of communication at Texas A&M, no further comment. And it's not enough that Alex Jones be silenced in the sense that he already has been. They need to scrub the internet of everything Alex Jones. Disappear him like an ancient Roman emperor that the elite crowd did not like. A crafty Huragok, any new tasks on Pixel Planet General Sticks? Yes, there is a link in the description on both platforms, as well as pinned to the top on YouTube in chat. And you can take that. We're taking over Egypt. Please don't get rid of the big blue band, the big blue cross that's in the middle of Egypt, sort of their national symbol. And don't roll into the Sinai, which currently is white with little golden crosses. I got contacted by the people that run it. They're accepting annexation in exchange for just having that art maintained. So they become a protectorate. Without a shot fired, we have taken over the Sinai Peninsula. Salty Ironworker sending $50. Thank you. I've noticed in Dearborn, Michigan, that Christians and Muslim parents are coming together to fight the woke malarkey in their schools, which I find pretty cool. Do you think we'll see more of opposite groups coming together to fight all this woke craziness? Yes, although I would point out that one of those groups, that I won't name which one, is against it mainly for theological reasons. The other one tends to be against it for more pragmatic reasons, because wokeness is not really education. It's a little bit apples to oranges. Politics makes strange bedfellows, but be careful you don't get fucking syphilis. That Manx guy sent $5. No comment. Thank you. Musically Assured Destruction. Have you done an occult video on the Process Church of the Final Judgment and connections to the Son of Sam? I did talk about the Son of Sam. I don't know that I made a specific video on the Process Church, though. Probably should. I'm still a little bit hoarse. Another reason to take weekends off. Hunter Wadley. The globe is in economic collapse because everything is causing cardiac arrest. Buy a pod and own nothing. Problem solved. Ozzy's Robots. SCOTUS refuses to hear the Mar-a-Lago case. Thoughts? Yeah, they don't want to make a final binding precedent on that case, and I don't blame them. Because they can't make any decision that wouldn't cause uproar in the population. They would rather it just sort itself out. Eli Ann Iceland. Check out my son's Pixel Planet Island by the coast of New Zealand. Cool. Next news story, it's moral panic time. Of course, we already had our fentanyl Halloween moral panic, but here's another one. Jeffrey Dahmer-inspired Halloween costumes. Twitter and TikTok freak out over disgusting trend. One Twitter user said dressing like a serial killer and cannibal really isn't cute, while Nancy Grace of Fox Nation called it wrong. First, who gives a fucking shit what that cunt thinks? Nancy Grace is the worst of the worst. I remember during the Trayvon coverage, she was saying, well, I'm inconsolably angry about this. He was they're trying to make the case that the fact that he had THC in his system meant that he was violent. Of course, for Trayvon Martin. It wasn't even a goddamn month later. I made a video about it at the time. I can't even remember the goddamn year at this point, showing my age, where she talked separately about another case where there had been a violent crime. I think it was second-degree murder, and THC was found in the person's system, and she labeled it meaningful. Well, I mean, this person was all hopped up on marijuana at the time. Don't you think that marijuana can potentially cause a person to be violent? Yeah, everyone except for Trayvon Martin, of course, Nancy Grace. So first and foremost, fuck her. Secondly, disgusting trend. My God, the whole purpose of Halloween is to be disgusting and weird. That's the whole fucking point. It's what makes it fun. The kids are all right. Leave them alone. Let them wear their Jeffrey Dahmer costume. They're not going to get fentanyl in their candy. They're not getting razor blades in their apples. They might be screwing in the graveyard or something like that, but who gives a fuck? That's the whole point. The whole point of Halloween is go out and have a good time. Can we have one day a year where anyone who gets outraged is punched in the face? Can we have one non-woke day out of the entire year where wokeness is illegal or something like that? I mean, that should be 365 days a year, really, but I'll make do with just Halloween being intact. By the way, for me, Halloween basically begins on the 1st of September. I spare no expense. I've got my flappy bat, Victoria Winter, can you ask Tim Pool to bring Tiffany Smiley on his IRL? I think she is closer to taking that Senate seat than the Democrats want to admit. I mean, I could mention it to him, yeah. Uncle Sam, recent trend, free streaming Tubi and others are offering tons of conspiracy documentaries. I find this interesting, to include Jones docs. Clank. Yeah, Alex Jones, I find him amusing. I don't find him to be a malevolent or evil individual. I don't understand why people have such a goddamn cock up their ass about Alex Jones. I know why the legacy media, though, ran with it. It's because he was out competing them. He had more airplay, far more people watching him than virtually any legacy slot. And so they said, well, if we don't knock people like him, and Tim Pool will be treated the same way over the future, just watch. Joe Rogan, they tried to cancel him. Anyone that stands in their way is robbing them of money. They think they're the ones that are supposed to tell you what the truth is, even if it's mostly lies. There's no place for Alex Jones in their tech world. Hair Juicer 3000 sent $2 without a comment. Thank you. Ozzy's Robots, a Biden sniffer mask would be truly frightening. Just get a zombie mask. It'll look about the same. Crossover Maniac, Son of Sam Killer said all the devil worshippers were upper class, like doctors and lawyers, getting Pizza Goat vibes from it. Your thoughts? I think that his entire thing with regards to demons was largely deflection to try to get an insanity defense. There are plenty of elite people that do weird shit, but I don't think any of them are principled in the sense of being spiritual. It's atheism with a floor show if it's any form of Satanism. Pedro Enrique, have you ever heard Eluvite, your fave Celtic bands? I don't really listen to that sort of music. Is it like Enya? Next news story. This is the Occupy Democrats doing a major self-own here. The Occupy Democrats. Elon Musk says that most of our followers are bots. Let's put this theory to the test. If you're not a bot, please come drop an I'm real in the comment section below. This is a remarkable cell phone because anyone who knows anything about botting whatsoever would know that getting a bot or a bot network to do this would be very simple. It'd take you 5 minutes if you know anything about coding whatsoever. You've got a bot network. The comments are registered. They're capable of commenting. And then you just put out what you want them to type. No, that doesn't take much effort. It'd take a lot more effort to say something unique. Humans can do that, and bots are generally bad at it. Bots are generally bad at complex things, at inventive things. You know, if you're real, make a pixel image here that, nobody else has ever made before. Scribble some lines on a bitmap image and fucking prop it up here. Huge cell phone. Anyway, I just threw that out there. It's not really a news story. I just thought it was funny. A la una en punto. Why do you believe fossil fuels are actually derived from microbial action? And do you believe humanity is consuming fossil fuels faster than the microbes can replenish them? The latter, I have no idea about. My theory is that extremophile bacteria throughout the Earth's crust, they take in energy. Some of them are radiotrophic or chemotrophic. Some of them eat other dead bacteria or other substances. They then convert it into excreted matter. They excrete oils and so forth. Over time, with the movement of tectonic action, heat, pressure, etc., what happens is that porous rock, which has a larger internal surface area and therefore is host to more bacteria in certain areas, the excretion happens there, and then through tectonic action, it's squeezed out of that into areas of lower pressure. So in certain types of rock. This is why some parts of the world have more oil and gas than others. That excretion is compacted. It becomes a fluid. It's no longer capable of being compressed. And so it forms bubbles very, very slowly by tectonic action. Sometimes it's closer to the surface. Sometimes it's further down. I'm not sure how deep you would be able to find it. And there's probably plenty of it further down than typically is drilled. And I don't know the rate at which it's replenished, but I think that it's caused by bacterial action. Some people think it's inorganic. They think it's the decomposition of certain rocks. I favor an organic explanation, at least in part. It could be both. Decomposition of organic material would make more sense to me, though. GP, oil has nothing to do with microscopic bugs. What a dumb explanation. Well, let me ask you this then. Do you think that the excretion of the bacteria in the Earth's crust does not tend to follow an osmotic pattern? Does it not tend within porous substructures to be compressed from one area to an area of lower density by tectonic action? Do you deny the movement of tectonic plates? Do you deny the differential porosity of different types of geological formations? Because you'd have to deny those to think that there's no collection of that excretion. We don't know that that's all of it. It could be a very small proportion. I'm just saying that organic material will tend to do that. So, I mean, I don't think that it's a dumb idea. Maybe my theory, well, maybe I'm the first one to propose a major theory that will eventually be accepted. And then maybe we'll find out 100 years after that that really is just liquefied dinosaurs. Who fucking knows? Anyway, next news story. The New York Times has officially flown the coop. Now, they're not even attempting to maintain the illusion of unbiasedness at this point. Here's a post by them. After a respectful first debate, Senator Ron Johnson and Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes of Wisconsin will debate again tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern. This was a few days ago, of course. They've already debated. This time, the candidates will be allowed to offer rebuttals, which may result in a more lively hour. Yeah, I would think that being able to rebut one another is generally good within a debate. Now, here's the image that they use from the front page of their article. Wisconsin Senate Debate 2022, Ron Johnson versus Mandela Barnes. Senator Johnson, a leading peddler of misinformation, will debate the Lieutenant Governor Barnes, a liberal Democrat who has been touted as one of the party's rising stars. The two will debate at 7 p.m. Eastern. In what realm of reality is that an unbiased quip? A leading peddler of misinformation will debate the rising star of the Democratic Party. Yeah, the New York Times doesn't have a favorite there, and their coverage thereafter doesn't show that same thing, by the way. I found this great. By the way, they got ratioed on this because it's just so far beyond the pale. I wasn't the only person that decided to opine on this particular post. And the New York Times is constantly talking about misinformation. Dude, come on. At the very least, this approaches misinformation. At the very least. Immortal legend. In my day, oil was from decomposed dinosaurs. Yeah, I come from the tail end of the decomposed dinosaur theory. Next news story. Journalist rushes to delete inconvenient truth about John Fetterman and his wife. Yes, Fetterman's having some problems still. He just got another, I can't remember exactly. Some newspaper just endorsed him. I'm sure he's happy about the 10 people that'll care. Rolling Stone, though, weighing in here. Oh, boy. RNC Research made a post about this as well. But Kara Vogt actually is the journalist here. And then this was posted on a Substack. Now, I tried to dig up an archive of this particular post. I couldn't find one. You may be able to find it on archive.org or archive.today or something, but I when I took the link, I couldn't find an archive. So I'll leave that up to other people that want to do a deeper dig. I wrote about Gazelle Fetterman, that's John Fetterman's wife, and how her husband's stroke transformed her from a reluctant political spouse to a de facto candidate and political star. And then within a few minutes, she deleted it. I guess the idea is you're cheapening John Fetterman, because you're basically saying, okay, he's all fucked up. So now his wife is the proxy for his entire candidacy. Oh, boy. And she, by the way, she flies off the handle, too. Giselle Fetterman says NBC reporter Dasha Burns should face consequences for exposing her husband's inability to make small talk without a computer. Yes, the NBC, just to be clear, John Fetterman's wife is insinuating that NBC doesn't like him. Yes, one of the most liberal legacy media outlets totally has it in for John Fetterman. They want Mehmet Oz, the Trump candidate, to be elected. That makes a lot of sense. We see this over and over again. And by the way, as a campaign proxy, I mean, no reasonable person would vote for her either. John Fetterman's fucked up, but he was fucked up before he had a stroke. Here's my problem with people that are talking about the Fetterman-Oz thing. Fetterman was already economically illiterate and insane and pro-crime and all of these other things before he had a stroke. He just was further ahead at the time because he wasn't also clearly incompetent. He wasn't also clearly incapable of carrying out the function of the office of the Senate for Pennsylvanians. It just became more obvious that he was out to lunch. Nobody really cares about the verbal fumbles. Hey, there are plenty of people who still support Joe Biden. There are plenty of people who voted for Strom Thurmond, you know, when he was already, fucking 95 years old or something. The fact that he can't put a sentence together and has difficulty understanding things is not going to dissuade Democrats. Why are you so angry at the legacy media for bothering to report on that apparently formerly little-known fact? Giselle Fetterman loves claiming that she's the brains of the operation. That is literally from her Twitter. A little behind-the-scenes look on the campaign trail with Joyo. I don't know. I guess it's her way of saying Joey or something. And how I am clearly the brains of the operation. Probably meant to be sarcastic, but not the greatest thing to post when your stroke-addled husband happens to be running for the U.S. Senate. Just to be clear. Meanwhile, give Fetterman a comedy show, and then he'll be useful for a change. Lucas Zapan, how to reach you about a way to boost subs past 500K using shorts and wouldn't add a daily workload. Messaged on Twitter, but I expect you get hundreds. I am aware that shorts jump the line with regards to current events especially. It's just not my forte. I'm never going to be a TikTok star. I'm never going to be able to do that sort of thing. I much prefer the transition. I realize old form videos like 5 to 15 minutes are sort of a dying medium. You're not going to get anywhere making them generally. But long form live stream style fits me much better. This fits me much more than making a 5-second video and putting it in as a YouTube short. I don't like vertical video. I like it to be widescreen. And I like to get my point across. And I like to be verbose. I like to go and rant. I do appreciate the idea, though. I am aware, though, that shorts tend to jump the line in the algorithm. I've made a couple. It's just not very interesting to me. Drennan, oil is decomposed Andy 6 logs. Maybe Andy can time travel. Always possible. Yeah, Catawin has a good point. Styx would be at 1 million subs, but YouTube started suppressing him after 2016. Yes, they have. And I'm not the only one. When people said it was sour grapes when the channel growth started to slow down, I pointed out 2 things. Number one, it's happening to 90% of the other independent creators that don't have a corporate contract. And number 2, it's not replicated on any other site. I'm still soaring on all of them. I'm still growing rapidly on Rumble. We're probably going to hit 120K before the midterms happen. It has nothing to do with talent. It has nothing to do with workload. It has nothing to do with anything but YouTube's own algorithms. Next news story, and the final one. Former Clinton staffer Huma Abedin not ruling out run for public office. Never say never. Yeah, that's basically code for, hey, give me $1,000 and I'll show up and I'll eat a dinner plate at your latest fundraising gala. Huma Abedin made the comment about potentially running for office during a morning radio show, saying, who knows what the future holds. Yeah, she is the former Hillary staffer. I feel slightly sorry for her, to tell the truth. Her husband's Anthony Weiner, you know, the one that was sexting with teenagers and doing other weird shit. She finally divorced him. The scandal doesn't really touch her. Here's my problem with Huma Abedin. I'll say my problem with her and then a virtue. We'll be fair. We'll be even-handed. We won't be NBC right now. The problem with Huma Abedin is she was a Clinton staffer, confidant, very close to Hillary Clinton. It would be a goddamn tough sell, I think, even among core Democrats to get anyone directly associated with Hillary Clinton into an official position. I don't think Chelsea Clinton will enter politics. If she tries, she'll fail. Huma Abedin would be off the table. Anthony Weiner, you know, I don't know if he's in jail right now. Is he still in jail for, being a pedophile, or is he free? Is he like Oliver O'Grady before his charges a couple years ago over in Ireland? Oh boy, now the Irish authorities join the Catholic Church and really stepping in it with that one. I don't know if he is. But when you are Hillary's closest confidant, literally like sleeping in the same bedroom, basically cohabiting, probably liked her better than she likes Bill. Just to be clear, I think that dynamic is real. I think that Hillary Clinton is bisexual. I don't say that as an insult. I just think when you look at their interactions together, the writing's on the wall. And who can get turned on by Bill Clinton, by the way? He was basically the coattails on which she wanted to ride and a way for her to have a daughter. Really, beyond that, they're a power couple. I think they have a liking for each other, but it's a really dysfunctional relationship. I think that she scissored Huma Abedin repeatedly, probably still does. The problem is that she's too close to Hillary Clinton. The virtue about Huma Abedin, though, is that because she can always deflect and say, well, people are only dragging me because my husband did something wrong. I divorced that loser asshole. She can use that as a shield if she gets into politics. I would put her in the top third of potential Dem candidates, not for a presidential run. I don't think she'd be taken seriously for that. If she were to go into a Senate run, a House run, gubernatorial slot, something like that, I think you could make the case for Huma Abedin. I think that she would actually be able to do that because she'd be able to say that anyone that opposed her wasn't just sexist. They were just blaming her because of Anthony Weiner. And once Hillary dies, she can also say, well, they're just crucifying me because I was friends with Hillary. Well, I had some disagreements with her. She can totally pivot to that. We've seen this from candidates before. I do not believe that Huma Abedin is going to become like the president of the United States. In fact, I think she was born in Saudi Arabia, so I don't think she's eligible for that. Could she become a senator or something? Yeah. I mean, look at the current crop of Democrats. Look at some of the losers that are in office. Chuck Schumer is going to get reelected. These people are not playing with a full deck. Of course, they'll coalesce behind Huma. That'd be funny. So, yeah, Huma 2024 for a house run or something. Pedro Henrique, you must go on Timcast 666th episode. Please. I will go on Timcast, but I cannot guarantee that I'll be back in the United States when he has that episode. Mitch James, will China invade Taiwan? It's unlikely, but it's possible. It would be impossible if we were to get a bunch more guns into Taiwan by simply getting them to establish a Second Amendment. Make a constitutionally martial society, something like Switzerland or like the United States. China's not going to invade. Yeah, they want to fight 12 million people. That would be a good time for them, considering their naval capabilities. They'd totally be able to drop off enough troops on the western coast of Taiwan to overwhelm the island. I don't think that they would. Taco Bell, there's a video by Matt Orchard that talks about how Anthony Weiner cost Hillary Clinton the 2016 election. Not sure how accurate it is, but lol. No, Hillary caused herself to lose by being a poor candidate. Her deplorables comment really sealed the deal. Sebastian Monroe, did you see the sites where Operation Market Garden took place? Any rusted panzers, concrete bunkers, or remnants of the Atlantic Wall? No, I didn't see any of that, but I have been in Arnhem. Yeah. I've been in the part of the country where Market Garden took place. Sky, in fact, I saw Nijmegen Bridge. I'm probably mispronounced. Nijmegen, I believe it'd be pronounced. in the distance, but I did see it, which I thought was funny because I remember playing Medal of Honor Frontline as a kid. I liked that particular mission. You had to defuse the explosives the Nazis had put under the bridge, and now I've actually seen it in real life. Skycloud Rain, I work in oil and gas. We don't know where oil comes from. There's two theories, fossil fuels, as name implies, and then non-organic theory, earth blood. I believe that it is a fossil fuel, but it's the result of bacterial shit basically decomposing. And by heat and pressure getting transformed and then osmosing into areas of low pressure, forming bubbles over a very long period of time. I'm sure there is a component that is inorganic. I don't think that the two theories necessarily compete. Rather, they complement one another. Lucas Zipan, you don't need one-offs. You can use succinct points from prior vids to grab interest in the full videos. I can convert. You choose what to post as you please. Yeah, I mean, if you want to take clips from my videos and post them as shorts, as long as there's attribution and the link is in the description, I don't have a problem with that. I get people all the time. I've had people before saying, can I post your video on Facebook? And I'm like, oh, you mean like you download my video and then post it on your page? And they're like, no, just link it out. You don't need my permission for that. The wider my material is spread, the better. Yeah, all of you have my express permission to do that as long as I'm in context, you're not selectively editing, and as long as there is a link to the original content, whether YouTube or on some other site. Go ahead, have a blast. You want to make a stick short channel? There's already one on Twitter, so why not? Just helps. Skycloud Rain, two theories are accepted because both can't be proved. Mr. 05 Chuck, Cat is hilarious on double speed, lol. Yeah, she's cleaning some body part at the moment. Shaqui Dogemeyer, Sticks, give me your email right now. Just kidding. Yeah, I don't tend to give it out because I rarely check it. I prefer Twitter DM. Twitter is the new email. Mega Sea Monkey, short videos lower my attention span. Thank God I got rid of Instagram and Snapchat years ago. I myself never had either of them. Yeah, we worked through all the news, running up on an hour, so no more super chats, please. Yeah, I'll check out. Let me do a last minute check on RCP, see if there's anything new. Yeah, average American is losing $34,000 on Biden's watch. Unfortunately, it's probably greater than that. Warnock was too restrained, but deserves re-election. Yeah, okay. That debate, I didn't even bother making a video about it because I watched part of it and it was a goddamn bore fest. I expected it to be more exciting. The Swamp Cleaner. Medal of Honor Frontline has the best soundtrack of any game. One of the best, definitely. Totally knocked it out of the park. And by the way, Medal of Honor Rising Sun was also a competent game. It just got compared to its predecessor and people didn't like it quite as much. I liked the atmosphere of it, though, a lot. That took place in Japan. Yeah, Frontline was a great goddamn game. One of the, definitely, I would say in the top 3 for the PS2 sort of generation. I had in PS2. Excellent. I would get all autistic though, and I would have the unlimited ammo cheat sometimes, just to be clear. After I had already played through the game several times on maximum difficulty, I figured I can take it easy. And I went through and I challenged myself to break every window, because when you shot a pane in a window, it would crack. I would go through and I would break every window and, destroy everything that was destroyable, just for shits and giggles. Do some target practice. It was fun. But I did like Rising Sun as well. I liked the parts where you're in the jungle were definitely pretty comfy. Although I thought the graphics were a little bit less advanced with regards to player motions and stuff. Like the way in which the actual NPCs moved around looked more fluid for some reason in Frontline than they did in Rising Sun. I don't know if that's just me, if I'm just, crazy, or if that's a real thing. Like they changed how the players moved around or something, like the characters. I thought that they didn't look quite as realistic too. Like the graphics were a little bit less at some points. I don't know. Yeah, Kerry Lake's candidacy is how democracy self-destructs. Oh my God, if democracy elects Kerry Lake, then democracy has failed is basically what it boils down to. I have a feeling I'll be covering that in tomorrow's live stream because I can't imagine that it's not cringe. Yeah. Will election deniers deny their own defeats? I have a feeling that most of the so-called election deniers are going to win their races. So it's like when Kerry Lake the other day was challenged, well, if you lose, will you accept the election results? they have this habit of asking specifically Republican candidates this lately. And she's just dismissive and shrugs her shoulders, not playing their game anymore. Why would she think she's going to lose? Yeah, let me come out and explain to my followers that I expect not to win the election. It's basically just to try to get them to take the bait. Yeah, and they're predicting a second Iranian revolution and shit like that. Oh, God, all the emojis from Leia there. I am not a fan of emojis myself. Yeah. So there's nothing particularly important and new here. We'll get more news, though, at some point. Let's see. Jesus Christ. Check subscribe star, I suppose. Always a good time, by the way. Yeah, between YouTube and Rumble right now, very close to 6,000 people watching live. So, 20 Biden loser units, that's pretty good. But I will go off here now as well because got other things to do. We've run up on the hour. Again, I will be live streaming on weekdays. Although, quick announcement before you go. Wednesday, I will probably not do the main live stream because later on in the day, I'm planning to do a test live stream with Sleazy P. Martini. Yes, the co-host for the legendary, absolutely most amazing midterm stream. Trust me, it's going to be goddamn lit. It's going to be fucking epic. It's going to be tubular. For all you Gen Xers out there, it's tubular. And it's nifty for all of you boomers out there. I've got Sleazy P. Martini, the band manager of Guar, the crack seller-in-chief himself, as the co-host. And we're probably going to have guests. But we have to do an unlisted stream first so I can fiddle around and make sure that, number one, we can have a guest on. Number two, how it looks. Because I want to be, and if not professional, semi-professional. Which means I have to set up a different browser. StreamYard doesn't work well with Opera. And also have the ability to show political maps and things like that. So on Wednesday around 6 p.m. Eastern time, or a bit after, is roughly when we're doing a test stream. If all goes well and I can figure it out really easily, we'll probably go live shortly after. I don't know how long we'll run, probably half an hour to an hour. And so you'll be able to see me and Sleazy as a preliminary run-up to the midterm election. Remember, I will be streaming on midterm night. I don't know, probably begin an hour or so before the polling results start coming in on the East Coast. That way, if you take like 4 hours or something, you're starting to get early results. You'll be able to see the skew in polling by the time that the middle of the country's results start coming in. You don't have to wait for Alaska or Hawaii or something. And so it's going to be very interesting. It's going to be great. And by the way, Bleach Demon, what are you using for political maps? Not sure yet. People can, in the couple of days leading up to the midterms, if people wanted to send me links to sites that are going to have live updates, maps especially, but also like live commentary and running updates, it would be good. If it is a red wave, I expect that we will also be launching a clanking of the Young Turks channel, just like we did in the 2018 midterms. There will be spoon emojis, the one emoji that I support the use of. It will be very, very funny. Mr. Wonderful, you can have up to 10 guests on StreamYards. Yes, but I got to make sure that I have the right setting and so that it looks good, so that their window off to the side is sort of matched with ours. I got to figure this out because I've never had a three-way chat that I was hosting on StreamYard. So yeah, I'll be doing that on Wednesday. That's about all. Peace out.